Have you ever looked down at your plate and wondered, is this helping me or hurting me? Maybe you heard it online, or a friend told you, don't eat soy, it'll mess with your hormones. Or you have to cut out nightshade vegetables, they cause inflammation. These messages are everywhere, and they can create real confusion and anxiety, especially when you're a man over 60 trying to do the right thing for your health, for your energy, for your vitality, and yes, for your sex life. It can make you feel like you're navigating a nutritional minefield. You just want to feel better, to feel like yourself again, but the noise is deafening. Welcome to ElderCare Insights. I'm Dr. Alan Rivera. Together, we're going to cut through that noise. We are here to deliver honest, evidence-based health guidance for men over 60. No gimmicks, no miracle cures, just the truth you can use to reclaim your vitality. If this is already resonating, go ahead and click that like button. And let me know in the comments, have you ever felt confused by conflicting health advice? You are not alone. All right, let's get straight to it. There's a huge gap between what the internet headlines scream and what the actual scientific research says. This is especially true when it comes to food and male sexual health. Many of these claims rely on personal stories, testimonials with no real proof to back them up. Sexual health after 60 is complex. It involves your vascular health, your hormones, and your neurological systems. With age, reduced blood flow from endothelial dysfunction becomes more common, and this is a major factor in erectile function issues, which affect between 40 and 70% of men in our age group. Diet can play a significant role in supporting these systems, but we have to be led by evidence, not by fear. So today, we're going to tackle 4 of the biggest vegetable myths head on. We'll look at the popular claim, and then we'll look at the actual scientific evidence so you can make choices with confidence. Myth number 1. Soy will destroy your testosterone and give you man boobs. This is one of the biggest fears I hear from my patients. The idea that a common food like soy, tofu, or edamame can undermine your very masculinity. The internet rumor mill says it's full of phytoestrogens that will tank your testosterone and raise your estrogen. This creates fear. It makes good men want to avoid a food that could potentially be beneficial for their heart. But is it true? Let's look at the science. The definitive answer comes from a large meta-analysis published in 2021. This wasn't a small study. Researchers pooled the data from multiple studies that included a total of 1,753 men. They looked specifically at men consuming soy and isoflavones, the compounds in question, and measured their hormones. Their findings? Unequivocal. Soy consumption had no significant effect on total testosterone, free testosterone, or estradiol, a form of estrogen, in men. Let me repeat that. In a comprehensive review of over 1,700 men, no clinically relevant hormonal changes were found. Any claims you see about soy raising estrogen by 30% or more in older men are not supported by science. Changes that large would have been easily detected in these studies. So why the confusion? It comes from a misunderstanding of how these compounds work. The isoflavones in soy are sometimes called phytoestrogens, but they aren't identical to human estrogen. They're more properly classified as selective estrogen receptor modulators, or SERMs. This means they act differently in different parts of the body. In men with normal testosterone levels, they do not exert clinically significant estrogen-like effects. In fact, another systematic review concluded that isoflavones do not warrant classification as endocrine disruptors. Furthermore, these studies used soy protein intakes of 20 to 40 grams daily, which is the equivalent of eating 2 to 4 realistic servings of soy foods. These aren't mega doses, it's a practical level of consumption. My practical advice: the fear surrounding soy is largely scientifically unfounded for most men. Moderate consumption of soy as part of a balanced diet poses no hormonal risk and may in fact support cardiovascular health, which is directly relevant to sexual function. So if you enjoy edamame, soy milk, or a block of tofu, enjoy it. You're not broken, you're simply informed. Myth number 2. Beets are natural Viagra, but canning or pickling destroys all the goodness. You've likely heard this one. Beets are high in nitrates, which your body can convert to nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is critical for relaxing blood vessels, including those needed for healthy erectile function. So naturally, people have jumped to the conclusion that beets are a natural performance enhancer. The myth often comes with a warning: you must eat it raw or drink fresh juice. Processing, like canning or pickling, supposedly ruins all the good stuff. Let's break this down. It's true that fresh beets are rich in nitrates, but what happens when it's processed? Research shows that heat processing, as in canning, does reduce the nitrate content, but it doesn't eliminate it. The reduction is around 15 to 25%, so a significant amount of the bioactive compounds remain. The claim that all the benefit is destroyed is an exaggeration. But here's the more important part most people miss. Let's look at pickled beets. The real concern isn't the loss of nitrates, it's the addition of sodium. Pickled beets can be high in sodium, and for men over 60 who may be dealing with cardiovascular risk factors, excess sodium can impair vascular function and increase blood pressure, the exact opposite of what you're trying to achieve. Now let's talk about dosage. This is where reality sets in. The clinical studies that show a benefit for vascular function, like one by Kapil et al., that showed improved flow-mediated dilation, typically use concentrated beet juice. These participants are getting 400 to 800 milligrams of nitrates. To get that amount from whole beets, you'd have to eat between 1 and 2 pounds per day. Let's be honest, who among us is really eating 2 pounds of beets a day? It's unlikely. So while beets can be supportive of vascular health, expecting dramatic changes in sexual function from eating a few slices of canned beets here and there is unrealistic. Plus, your body's ability to convert nitrates to nitric oxide can vary greatly based on factors like the health of your oral microbiome. My practical advice: beets are a nutritious vegetable. Feel free to include them in your diet, but don't view them as a magic pill. If you're eating processed versions, be mindful of the sodium content and understand that the real benefits to vascular health come from a healthy overall dietary pattern, not just one vegetable. Myth number 3. Nightshades, like tomatoes, potatoes, and peppers, cause inflammation and hurt sexual function. This is another persistent myth. The idea is that these vegetables contain compounds called alkaloids, specifically solanine, which trigger inflammation in the body. And since we know chronic inflammation is bad for vascular health and is linked to erectile dysfunction, the advice is to cut them out completely. Again, this claim creates fear and unnecessary restriction. Many men end up avoiding wonderfully nutritious vegetables out of fear. So what does the evidence say? It's very clear. For the vast majority of people, this claim is false. Let's start with a high authority source, the Arthritis Foundation. Their official position statement explicitly notes that there is no scientific evidence to support the elimination of nightshade vegetables for managing inflammation, even for people with diagnosed arthritis. The fear centers on solanine, but the concentration of solanine in ripe, properly stored nightshade vegetables is far too low to cause any physiological effects in healthy individuals. There was a recent controlled trial published in 2024 where researchers put people on a rheumatoid arthritis nightshade elimination diet. After 12 weeks, they found no significant changes in inflammatory markers. And remember, these were people with an existing inflammatory disease, making the results even less applicable to healthy men looking to optimize their health. Now let's look at the other side of the coin, what you lose when you cut these foods out. Tomatoes, especially when cooked, are an incredibly rich source of lycopene, a potent antioxidant strongly linked to reduced cardiovascular risk predict and supporting prostate health. Nightshades also provide potassium and vitamin C, all of which support heart health. For a man over 60, eliminating these nutrient-dense foods because of an unsupported fear could actually do more harm than good. You may be giving up valuable antioxidant protection in pursuit of a theory that isn't backed by science. My practical advice: unless you have a specific autoimmune condition and have been advised by your doctor to try an elimination diet, there is no scientific reason for a healthy man over 60 to avoid nightshade vegetables. Enjoy your tomato sauce. Have a baked potato. These foods are part of a healthy diet, not the enemy of it. Myth number 4. Cooking broccoli destroys all its cancer-fighting compounds. Broccoli and other cruciferous vegetables like cauliflower and Brussels sprouts are praised for their content of sulforaphane, a compound studied for its role in supporting prostate health. The connection here is clear. A healthy prostate is linked to better sexual function and comfort after 60. But the myth often comes with the advice that you must eat it raw. The heat, it is claimed, destroys the enzymes needed to create sulforaphane, rendering cooked broccoli useless. This is a case where the scientific truth is not only different, but the complete opposite. Research shows that eating broccoli raw is not the best way to get its beneficial compounds. A 2020 study by Wang et al. Found that gentle cooking methods like steaming, stir-frying, or microwaving actually increased the availability of isothiocyanates, the family of compounds including sulforaphane, by up to 4-fold compared to eating it raw. It sounds counterintuitive, but there's a good reason. Mild heat helps to break down the plant's cell walls, which allows the enzyme, myrosinase, to interact with the precursor, glucosinolates, to create the sulforaphane. However, there is an important caveat. Overcooking does kill it. Prolonged boiling can in fact denature the enzyme and reduce the formation of the active compound by about 58%. So the key is not to avoid heat, but to use moderate, brief heat. And this isn't just theoretical. The ESCAPE trial, a human clinical trial, gave men with localized prostate cancer a sulforaphane-rich broccoli soup. They used a cooked broccoli preparation and still found significant changes in prostate gene expression associated with cancer prevention pathways. This demonstrates that properly cooked broccoli delivers real-world benefits. Don't force yourself to eat raw broccoli if you don't enjoy it. Steam it lightly for a few minutes until it's bright green and tender crisp. Give it a quick stir-fry with a little olive oil and garlic. These methods not only make it more palatable, but can actually make its protective compounds more bioavailable. Just avoid boiling it into a mush. All right, so we've busted a few myths. We've seen that soy isn't the enemy, processed beets retain some value but aren't a silver bullet, nightshades are our friends, and properly cooked broccoli is fantastic. But this leads to a bigger and much more important question. If obsessing over these individual vegetables isn't the answer, what is? This is where we shift from chasing individual superfoods to embracing something far more powerful. The real solution. The power of dietary patterns. The science is overwhelmingly clear on this. The most effective way to use nutrition to support male sexual health and overall health after 60 is not to focus on a single food. It's to adopt a proven total dietary pattern. The most powerful evidence we have points to one pattern in particular: the Mediterranean diet. This isn't guesswork. Large, long-term studies have confirmed this. The Health Professionals Follow-Up Study, which tracked over 21,000 men, found that those who more closely followed a Mediterranean-style diet had a 22% lower risk of erectile dysfunction. Other studies focusing specifically on our age group have shown an 18% reduced risk for men over 60. A study by Esposito et al. Even found that men with metabolic syndrome who followed a Mediterranean diet were more likely to see an improvement in erectile function compared to those on conventional dietary advice. Why does it work so well? Because it doesn't try to do one trick. It addresses the root causes of age-related decline by comprehensively supporting cardiovascular health, reducing inflammation, and providing a flood of protective antioxidants. So what does this diet look like in real life? It's beautifully simple. Lots of vegetables, fruits, nuts, legumes, whole grains, and fish. Your primary fat, extra virgin olive oil. Limited, red and processed meats, sugary foods, and refined grains. It's not about deprivation. It's about shifting the focus to whole, nutrient-dense foods. Other healthy plant-forward patterns also show promise. One study found that consumption of a healthy plant-based diet was associated with a decreased risk of erectile dysfunction. Another Korean study found that a traditional Korean diet, rich in vegetables, fermented foods, and whole grains, was associated with higher free testosterone levels compared to a Western diet. The message here is consistent. An overall diet rich in plants is highly beneficial. It's the sum total and variety of what you eat over time, not a single vegetable you ate today. How to get started. Practical steps for men over 60. Knowing this is one thing. Actually doing it is another. After decades of eating a certain way, making a change can feel daunting. So here are 4 practical, no-nonsense rules to make this happen. Rule number 1. Add, don't restrict. Instead of focusing on all the things you can't have, focus on what you can add in. Start gradually. This week, your goal might be to add a serving of leafy greens to dinner each day. Next week, maybe it's swapping your afternoon snack for a handful of almonds. Starting small builds sustainable habits. Rule number 2, optimize your cooking. As we learned with broccoli, how you prepare your food matters. Steam or lightly sauté your vegetables instead of boiling them. Cook your tomatoes with a little olive oil to boost lycopene absorption. These small adjustments maximize the nutritional benefit without requiring a complete dietary overhaul. And don't be afraid to use frozen vegetables. They retain most of their nutritional value and are often more affordable. Rule number 3, talk to your doctor. This is crucial. Your nutritional approach should complement, not replace, your medical care. This is especially critical if you're on medications for heart disease, high blood pressure, or diabetes, conditions strongly linked to erectile dysfunction. For example, if you're on nitrate medication for your heart, you need to be aware of the potential additive effects from nitrate-rich foods like beets. Consider your diet as part of your healthcare team and keep your doctor in the loop. Rule number 4. Be patient and realistic. This is a big one. Nutritional interventions don't work like pharmaceuticals. A pill might have an effect in a few hours. Dietary changes take time. You are rebuilding your health foundation from the inside out. It may take months of consistent practice before you notice measurable improvements in energy, vascular health, and overall function. Don't give up after 2 weeks. Commit to the process. You're not looking for a quick fix. You're investing in your long-term health. Look, let's bring it all together. We've cut through a lot of misinformation today. The evidence is clear. The fears around soy, nightshades, and properly cooked broccoli are largely unfounded. And while beets have their merits, they aren't the magic cure some claim. The real answer, the sustainable solution, doesn't lie in one vegetable or magic pill. It lies in your consistent, overall dietary pattern. A Mediterranean-style diet, rich in plants, fish, and healthy fats, is the most powerful evidence-based strategy we have for supporting heart health, managing inflammation, and thereby supporting sexual function as we age. What you may be feeling, that drop in energy, that change in desire or performance, it is not weakness. It's not a sign that you are done. It is feedback. It's feedback from a body that wants to come alive again. With the right support, it can. You're not broken. You're rebuilding. You've spent your life showing up for others. Now it's time to show up for yourself. Start today, not for who you were, but for the man you still are. I want to hear from you. Based on what we've discussed today, what is one small, achievable step you can take this week to move toward a healthier eating pattern? Let me know in the comments below. No answer is too small. Please remember, this content is for educational purposes only. I am not your doctor. Always consult your own healthcare provider before making any health decisions. They know your medical history and can give you advice that's tailored to you. And if you found this straightforward conversation helpful, please subscribe to ElderCare Insights. We are here to provide honest, empowering health advice from someone who respects where you are. Thank you for your time. Be well.